I'd like to start this conversation with where we just left off in personal life. We were talking about biting fingernails because I lied to my wife and said that I didn't lie. I didn't lie. I might have said I lied. Okay, so I lied. I did lie to her. I lied about biting my fingernails because she doesn't like me to bite my fingernails. So I said I smashed it with a weight. And so I got a bad hangnail. I ripped the hangnail out. It bled. She's like, oh, were you biting your fingernails? And I was like, no, I was lifting weight, baby, trying to get pumped for you. And she knows I lied about that.
But why is that a thing? Why is biting your nails a bad thing?
Two parts. One, it's just gross because everything you touch is now in your mouth. Meaning,
okay,
and you can't even really wash your hands under your nails effectively.
Okay.
You can try. And then two, when you bite your fingernails, the little hangnails grow on the side of them because it starts to grow back, and it's just really painful. And you have to rip them out, and that hurts, or you can let it grow and it hurts, and it's just overall not a good deal. I like it, though. That's my favorite. If I had to list hobbies as of today, biting my fingernails, top 3.
So I don't think those two negative reasons, though, outweigh if it's something you...
I'm passionate about it.
Okay.
I'm thinking about starting a foundation for nail biters everywhere. I'm thinking about making a move like you did and leaving all this to go and work with nail biters and really pump the message. Man. Yeah, be impactful about nail biting. Yeah,
you could just give out hand sanitizer as part of the thing, you know?
I shouldn't do it because, again, it's stupid. And I did the tasty stuff, the bad taste you put on it, and you like put it on your fingernails. It's like nail polish, but it's clear, but it tastes so bad. But then I just developed a strategy, which I often do, of biting without tasting.
So I walked in here today and had no idea that this was a thing.
What, and me doing a show?
Well, no, not that. That biting nails was such a thing that there are remedies that people will sell.
Yeah.
So that you could not do something that you actually don't mind doing.
I love it, man. It's my talk.
I don't get it. I don't understand that.
I would say mostly because of the health ramifications. If you have a lot of germs and you put it in your mouth. And young kids, that's usually used for young kids, the taste thing. Or me.
So could you hold like a convention and talk about...
Hold it. I got one scheduled for next week.
And everyone would show up. A lot of people would show up.
Vancouver was sold out. All nail biters.
Really?
No.
Could you do it?
No, that'd be disgusting. I don't want to hang out with nail biters. They're gross.
Evidently, enough people
nail biters
will buy the nail polish.
Nail biters are losers, man. That's to be with a loser. That's me. Yeah, that's me. How you been, buddy? Really, it's awesome to see. You know what's funny about I didn't even let you answer the question, but what's funny is, like, I like you so much and, like, respect what you do and how you do it, and also consider you, like, we don't get to hang out enough to be friends, but, like, a buddy friend, which is that next level, that I feel comfortable when you come over, that it's like, oh, cool, I get to go do this and not have to worry about if I like the person. Or
thank you, man.
Or, and you know this because with your new career, you got a couple of them. There are times where I feel like I have to be extremely on just in case because I don't know the skill set of the other person or how they feel. I don't have to do that with you, which means I can even take long breaths and sit.
Dude, that's a compliment. Thank you.
Yeah, it really.
If you could feel comfortable.
I honestly feel that way about you. Yeah.
That's cool. Thank you.
So, how have you been?
Honestly, I'm in a good place, better than I deserve, I should say.
Is that a thing that you say now? Because I had a coach that would always say, I go, how's it going? And he always go, better than I deserve. Do you really feel better than you deserve?
First of all, it is a thing because it's a great conversation starter. What do you mean by that? What do you deserve? You know?
But I think you end up to no good, though, if you say that. Like, if you're like, better than I deserve, I'm like, I wonder what he stole.
So, yes. So, it could be just a thing that you say. It is a great conversation starter, alluding to, well, what is it that you deserve? But on top of that, I am just actually in a good place. I really am.
Was there a place, we'll call it your life stock market, because we've seen each other a couple times since, and I don't feel like you've retired. I feel like in this world of messaging, whatever it is,
sure,
music, Jesus, speaking, singing, sports, whatever the messaging is, like, it's all a version of that. And where I do a radio show or a podcast, or I do a sports show, we shoot a sports like TV show, but it's all the same, even though it's not. And it's all fulfilling to me in different ways. And there are seasons where things are way more fulfilling to me than others. But there is now a fluidity to, if you're brave enough to go try it, you might just be good at it and get to do it all. And that is something that I've seen you really thrive at, because obviously you have massive success in music. And I don't feel as a fan like you've stepped away, even though you're in the weeds. You're not 10,000 feet above it like I am. You may feel that way because you're not maybe writing as much, performing as much, but your music always lives, so I can go to it anytime. It's like when Tom Petty dies, for example. He hasn't died to me. I didn't know Tom Petty.
Sure.
He's still alive to me. Granger Smith, like the music artist I really enjoy, is still living just as he was to me. But now you've decided to focus a lot of other energy on a lot of other things. And so as the stock market of life seasons go, did it go down at all after you decided to kind of leave in your mind a lot of your energy from music and put it somewhere else?
The stock market as me as a product, not specifically music, but you're just talking about
just you as a
product,
person.
Granger Smith.
Do you feel like you took it down? You went down and questioned what you were doing, or if you could lose it all, or did it get worse for you emotionally, scary even?
Yeah, I get it. I live in a place now. It's funny. I was just having this conversation on the way here, literally, that if I died tonight in my sleep, it would be enough. Today would have been enough. And I didn't live in that world for all of my music career and probably most of my life. On top of that, it was always, it's not enough yet. I haven't gotten it yet. I'm still searching for it. I'm pushing forward, and I'm almost got it. I've got all this stuff, but I want a little bit more. And I don't have that at all now. So does that mean the stock market of my life has gone down? Probably, but I think I like it to be down. I think that's kind of the point.
Which then I think it's up.
Yeah. So the way, however you look at it. Yeah.
Meaning I would judge the stock market of my life in the fulfillment that I have, period. And sometimes my fulfillment comes from things that I shouldn't be I shouldn't chase to be fulfilled by.
Yeah.
Those things that are very professional, non-meaningful, ego-based, award-based, data-based, short-term goal-based, and at times.
Yeah.
But like I've been married now a couple of years, and it's been difficult for me at times because I was never with another person. I have the emotional, and I don't even mean this as a joke, but the emotional knowledge of probably now like a 14-year-old, because it was just me. Never had to be in an intimate relationship with anybody. And it's been very hard. And there are some of the things that I thought were so important. I don't put as much energy into going after those. I still do. I still care about a lot of things. But there's been a shift in my value system a bit because now I have another person and I'm learning how important that is and how hard, if I work at that, the payoffs are even bigger. So I could go, well, personally, I think it's up. Professionally, maybe not as high as I would be, but as long as I'm fulfilled, that's my stock market up. That all comes with what I'm fulfilled with, because I am now at the place where I know with what I was chasing, I'm never going to be satisfied. And that's not a good place to be, and I'm still there in ways, but it didn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to be, that monster that's been in me forever is never going to be full. And at least I can acknowledge that now, that there's nothing I can do professionally that's going to make me go, I feel complete.
Yeah.
And that's nice to admit, but it's almost like a little like, am I quitting or giving up, or am I just maturing?
Yeah, and that's the American culture, that American dream that's just so ingrained in us. It goes, don't quit, don't give up, keep going, keep pushing forward. Amazing. That's amazing that we have that. You know, that's a gift that we have that kind of drive. And that's really what settled the West, was that mentality. But at what level does that become dangerous, and does that outstride our contentment? And I think that's kind of the word that we're talking about here is, can you be great? You drive, you push forward, you chase, but can you be content with what you have now? That's the question. If the answer is yes, then continue to chase and drive. If the answer is no, then you need to pull back and start releasing some things.
And my answer is no, but it's not no anymore. And there's a difference to me, because there's a bit, because of my wife, there's a bit of growth in realizing that there are other priorities than those extremely fleeting entertainment or chasing a love that is not real through people I don't really know, just so I feel like I've accomplished something because I feel like I've never accomplished anything. Because that thing never gets fed, or briefly, and then it's hungry again. And I've been able to learn through her that the things sometimes that maybe I didn't even know existed or valued, like quality time, like that's currency. That's real substantive, like the ability to have that and it go well means way more than I thought it would. So I've been able to shift a little bit of that, I just need to succeed, to that. Not all, to that. And I wonder, with my version of this, and you say you could die tonight, and I hope that doesn't happen, but have you shifted a bit of okay, I got to do this professionally too. Now I'm doing something that creates a healthy contentment and a fulfillment in me, and I feel better because of it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Consolidating what I do to all the way down to the things that matter, the things that are meaningful to me.
Things that matter now. How about that?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure they're different than that mattered 5 years ago to you.
Yeah.
What matters now to you that maybe didn't matter as much 5 years ago?
Now I'm able to speak into lives and add an idea of hope in a world that a lot of people don't have any. And so they chase other things to try to replace it. So if I can come in on a personal level, and this is crazy because I'm coming from a world where the more people I talk to, the better. So it's talk to a lot of people with a small, vague message, or talk to one person with a very impactful, deep message for a long period of time. And I go to bed that night feeling fulfilled from one coffee. I had coffee with a guy last week who lost his son. I live in Austin. He lives in Dallas. He's like, I'll do anything. I'm 44 days into this. I need to talk to you. I need to have coffee. So I'm looking at my schedule like, I don't know the guy. It doesn't really make sense, but I know this is why I'm here. I need to be open to stuff like this. So I say, yeah, Tuesday we'll meet. He drives to Temple. We meet.
What made you say yes, though? I want to get to the story, but what made you say yes other than just going, I just need to do it? What? Because you thought about it. It was probably harder to do it than not do it. Why did you say yes to that?
I said yes because I've done it enough times to know that there is more fulfillment in that than whatever the rat race thing I was supposed to be doing on a Tuesday. So I meet the guy, and we sat at this coffee shop for 4 hours. And I talked for about 20 minutes out of the 4 and listened the rest of the time. He's just unpacking. And then, but the times I was able to speak the short time, I knew things to say that would impact him in a way that on his drive back to Dallas, I know he's going to be thinking about it. And then I leave there and I'm like, I missed out on whatever else I was doing today. But that one guy, that actually matters. I don't know why. I can't articulate why, in a cosmic way, why this one conversation mattered than me getting on a podcast and talking to thousands and tens of thousands. But it just did.
Probably the promised intimacy, because you're actually there seeing
something to that,
the effect of the person. And the same way you could play music and watch people react and have a great night as well. But again, you're right. It's a big, vague, broad message for a lot, or a nuanced, specific message for one. And it's pretty cool to see how that has changed inside of you. I would imagine at some point, you still like the other, because I watch you speak sometimes. I watch you do.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a specific-ish message. And you're definitely trying to affect people that are watching you, but it has to be tailored a bit more generically than if you're just talking to a person across from you. When you speak or your church, your preach, whatever, however you define it, you finish do you do sermons? Would you call yours a sermon?
Yeah, it's mixed. Like sometimes it's a church. Like literally this coming Sunday is a sermon.
Okay,
Sunday morning. But it's not always. Sometimes it's a youth conference or whatever. When
you speak and you leave that, what is that feeling like? because you haven't sat across from them and got their specific nuanced needs or reaction, but you still just went and took your message and your feelings and were vulnerable and shared to people who are needing and wanting that. Describe the difference between the two.
Similar to concerts, music. I could walk off from a message and think, man, I don't know if I did it. I don't know if that mattered at all. I think that might have been horrible. And then there's other times I walk off and go, I think I nailed that. It's interesting that I get the same type of feeling, but I do know that the sword is sharper with the message that I'm giving now, as opposed to just a more generic, I'm just going to play a concert and make you smile, which is great. It's great. I always thought of myself as being able to make people take an emotional journey 3 minutes at a time.
Yeah.
But what I know now is the goal is to really affect people on an intimate level, so that if they are hurting past the point of, I don't even want to live anymore, then this could affect that person in a positive way.
And I think all are needed. And I don't think one's more important than the other. And I don't think you're even saying that. I'm saying...
I'm not. You're right.
And I don't want anybody to misconstrue what you're saying, because I don't believe that's your message, and most people will hear that. But I think all are needed, and sometimes to be better at being able to have empathy or understanding, that comes with extreme difficulty. Like any of the empathetic skills that I have, any of the understanding that I have that I can help with, has always come through some really crappy stuff happening. And even with, like a river, the book, and your tattoo that says river, and, your son, and how that tragically changed your life and your whole family's life. And you would never wish that on anyone. The tools and the skills and the empathy that you gained from that you could go back, you'd never want to have to gain those. If you were to ask, no way, you don't want to gain that. You don't want, that's terribly tragic. But what it seems to me, again, from 10,000 feet up, you've taken that skill set, and now you're using it, specifically the guy you met with, for coffee.
You know what I told that guy in the brief time, the 20 minutes I told you that I was going to say only a few things that would matter. And I told him something that's only been a recent thought in my mind that I've worked through just recently. And I've never said this in a public setting. And I haven't fully unpacked it yet, but the truth is this. If I faced God today and he said, I give you river back, I give you your old life back, but you don't get anything that you've gained from that to this day forward, right? You don't get any of that. You just get river and your old life. I would say no. I'd say I can't go back there. Even to have river back. Because I was broken so much that the new growth that came from that death, really from me, I'm talking about just me. I'm a different person, and I can't go back into that old self again because I just see things differently now.
Doing it in that example, kind of retrospectively, if, let's say, that was positioned to you beforehand, and it was, you're going to gain all these empathetic, you're going to be able to help, but you probably pick a different answer.
Yeah, that's impossible. I would say no.
Absolutely no.
Yeah, no.
Like,
I'm good.
But it took real tragedy, and for you to go through it, never be all the way through it, never. Like it's never going to be easy.
Yeah.
It's never going to be. But to spend so much of your time now dedicated to helping others who have been in similar situations or just in broadly difficult times, I don't think, myself included, I couldn't do that. And you gave up a lot to do that. And I think that's a very noble thing to do, where you're not asking for the praise, but it's like, if I sit here and don't praise you, and praise you as just like, I really appreciate you. Like, I would feel like I wasn't being honest while I was talking to you.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And at the same time, I'm so stubborn that it's like that's what it took.
No,
for me to finally be broken. It took
also got to be real stubborn to make it in the first time in your first career. Like if you're not nuts, you don't do a nuts job and not make it if you're not nuts. Yeah. You got to have a screw loose. It's got to be the right screw, but you got to have a screw loose to even go and try to be an artist, a country music artist, much less one that's going to find success. Much less one's going to find success in a niche-ish part of country music, which is the Texas scene, and then be smart enough to strategize, how do I turn this into a national thing while not turning off your own. Like you were able to walk this road professionally, really unlike any other artist I've seen, because there's so many people that come from where you come from musically that when they do it, they get turned on pretty hard. Because people go, oh, it's like in Australia, tall poppy syndrome. Oh,
yeah.
You're too tall. We're going to cut you down. You're now not one of us anymore, huh?
Yeah.
In that version, that season for you, when you were just really killing it, doing country music, like you're one of the only guys I really didn't feel that from the Texas, Red Dirt, whatever you want to call it, that scene. And then you didn't have whatever the Nashville version is going, here, this guy thinks he's better than us, and he's going to come and try to be a Texas artist. Like you were able to navigate all that so perfectly. That took real stubbornness.
Yeah.
Because every step of the way was met with, you probably shouldn't do it this way. No one's really done it like this before. While you're doing comedy and comedy music. And you've taken that stubbornness and you've put it here. And it's a beautiful thing as long as it doesn't make you mentally unhealthy.
Sure.
It makes me mentally unhealthy at times. But I've found...
What does?
Being stubborn. Absolutely. I'll commit to something and I know I'm wrong at times. And it's like, I'm not going to quit because I don't like to cut my losses, even though I feel at times like it's probably the best thing to do, because I need to prove to either like the kid version of me or like an adult version of somebody who was not good to me as a kid, who's not even around anymore. But without that stubbornness and having a bit of screw loose, I wouldn't have made it here. But I've seen you take that stubbornness, it's now in a different place, and it's a different stubbornness. And the fact that you can say, and I'm kind of moved by this, that if you were good today, you'd be good. I can't believe that, because that kind of person, to be an artist, you got to be like, it's all irrational. Everything's irrational. To think you can be an artist, people are going to pay money and stream your stuff and stream your music, and that they should come to your show and they should get a sitter and they should drive. To think you're good enough, that people, that's irrational.
It is.
And you got to be nuts to think you can do that. And you did it.
And literally to be mad at them if they don't.
Yeah, or to be mad at yourself because they didn't, even though it's hard.
Both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now you've taken that stubbornness and you've put it in a way that's actually changing lives. And I wonder how long you can do it until you start to be like, I did news for like TV early on. I did some TV news stuff, and I couldn't be around the sadness all the time. I wasn't strong enough. And I was doing comedy and I was doing TV. I didn't have it. I didn't have the guts for it. And what you're doing, a lot of what you're doing isn't flowers and candy.
Yeah.
And are you going to be stubborn? And how long until you're like, I want to go back and do some music again? You know, when does the stubbornness here? Will you let that stubbornness go back there a little bit?
Yeah, you framed it well, because stubbornness would be the one thing that would make me turn back again. But I could sit right here on the show and to tell you with confidence, as far as I know, I cannot see myself being an artist again.
But will you be so stubborn because you said that you won't allow it even though you want it?
But yeah, the reason you framed it that way is because stubborn people do stubborn things. But as I sit here on this couch today, I say, I just can't foresee going back in a place where I'm needing the attention so much that, and that's really what it is. As an artist, I need people to love me on a level that they want to hire the babysitter and leave everything behind and stream my music and come to the concert. I need that. Otherwise, I'm not succeeding. And as I recognize that, and I have to be consistent when I say that, I need to be consistent with writing books that I feel the same way. If I write a book, I can't expect a certain amount of people to buy it. Otherwise, that's an inconsistency in my argument here. So I need to say, I'm writing books for the one. Can I really live up to that? That's difficult. But that's the argument. Can I write a book and know that I'm going to put all this effort just so one life is changed for the better because of it? Because that's a good goal.
But a book's a mass product, though. It's a book's like like you're speaking to a crowd.
So then you got publishers involved, and you got a certain amount that they need to sell to make an overhead. So can I be consistent and go, you guys do what you got to do, but I'm out of the rat race. I'm going to do this for the one. Now, I'm human, so I don't totally know the answer to that. I don't know if I could consistently go, it's only about one. It's only about one. But as I sit here today, I could tell you with confidence that I don't want to go back to the music business.
Do you have enough money to do this and do passion and keep the same lifestyle that you've built?
So that's a money thing is a new question. And it's a good thing to introduce into this conversation because that's another thing I have to be consistent with my contentment in today has to be also financial contentment today without worrying about, is this sustainable? I could be responsible about that and go, well, can we pay bills? That's irresponsible. But is a lifestyle sustainable? Then I have to go, maybe not, and that's probably okay.
Have you had to have that conversation with your wife, or most importantly, before you have that with yourself, like at a level where you really spend time thinking about it?
I have myself for sure. I think about it all the time because the more I give up with a lifestyle, I don't feel any worse about it. In fact, I feel more free. It's really interesting.
Counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Amber, man, just by grace of God, she doesn't need a lot, thankfully. But it would be very difficult if she did.
What about the platform you've created? Let's say you do this for a while and you're changing lives, but you're becoming a little less famous. There's a little less shine to great. Yeah. Because now I think people attach themselves to you because of who you are, what you do, and how you say it. But I think they give you a chance a lot of times because you're freaking Granger Smith. You're a celebrity in their mind. The longer you do this and you focus on what is fulfilling to you and matters to you, that platform does not stay as tall as it was,
right. Yeah.
Which then could affect even the amount of people that you're able to closely change.
Yeah.
Have you had that thought?
I think about it, yeah. It's interesting because I've been doing a lot of mission work in the past few years. I've been able to travel to a lot of remote places. For instance, like the mountains of Cuba. And when I go into the mountains of Cuba, no one knows Granger Smith. Mm-hmm. No one cares. I'm just one member of a small team that's going into the mountains to bring medicine to children and to give a message of hope about Jesus. So when I go in there, when I leave there, I crave it. I'm like, that was amazing. No one knew about country music or even river or anything about me. I was just a guy with a message. And because of that, that's the only really data point I have on what would it be like for no one to know you. But just from that alone, I'm like, that's pretty cool. Just to be part of a team. No greater or lesser.
You know why it's cool though? Because it's not normal right now. When that becomes a lot more normal.
Okay. I would say the life of, okay, let me look at it this way. As I was in country music, I would always look at the older guys and go, that's the trajectory. You could either go to this guy, or you could be this guy, or you could be this guy, but all of them are kind of, the 90s country guys. Sure. You could see them at festivals, at the 3:00 spot. And I would think about that a lot. Like, which one of those guys am I going to be? Now, I look at a little church and a pastor. I say little, anywhere between 100 to 1,000. And it's just one shepherd and his other pastors that work there and his flock. And I see those guys. And now that's kind of where I look now. Whether or not it's an author, pastor that's written a lot of books and travels, or he has no popularity and he just has a little church and he travels the world when he can. And I'm like, okay, I see that. And I go, okay, that feels like home.
So you can see that and go, if that's it, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's, man,
Yeah.
that's extremely temporarily very healthy of you. It is. I'm not saying it's not always going to be.
Sure.
But I know I change all the time with what
It's a good argument that you're making. Like, well, you think that now. Talk to me in 10 years. Talk to me in 20 years. That's a good argument you're making.
My issue within myself has always been, in my manager, someone that I talk with a lot, Corin Capshaw, and him and I have spoken a lot about platform and giving, and I would feel like if I just went and did more unselfish things. I'm a very selfish person. And not in the way of like I need to be me, but like everything's always been, I'm an artist in different
you're
ways.
A product.
And it's always, how can I make the product better? How can I sharpen it?
Yeah.
What do I got to take care of here? So it's been I'm the sun in a heliocentric universe. I felt that way for a long time. And also I didn't have really a family. And so even as a kid,
Sure.
I grew up, it was just me surviving. I said, what if I was a little less selfish and I took 30% of the time, 40% of the time, and didn't do as much artistry, whatever you call it, and did more of, we'll just call it general giving. And the conversation that I had with Corin, who's given so much, and he referenced somebody that's very famous that he has worked with, and he said, it's going to have to be what fulfills you either way, because there's no line, there's no right answer for this, but if you lose your platform, there is the possibility you actually lose the ability to give as much as you want to give. And you have to find that line of, if you decide to take 80% of your time and go and give and go and do things, well, that's 80% of the time that you're not able to sustain what people even care for you about, so you can give more. And I think my struggle has been finding that line.
So the question is, is it a heart issue or an impact issue? Because if you're trying to
It can be both. It can be both.
It can be both, but it always starts with the heart, not the impact. So, for instance, when Jesus was watching the people come on and tithe and give all the money, and all the people had all this money and they're giving, and he's with the disciples, and the one lady comes in with 2 small copper coins, and he says, you see, that woman gave all that she had. That is from the heart. That's what matters. And so it's interesting to think about that, because you and I both will think bigger platform, bigger impact, bigger help.
Affect more people.
Yes. Help the
absolutely.
world. But when I've gone and experienced, like a trip to Cuba, like I said, and I'm just impacting in a very small way, but on a personal level, my heart is much more enlarged by doing that. Interestingly enough, as opposed to let's raise as much money as we can and give $1 billion to starving kids in India. There's a disconnection there. And that's something that I'd still want to unpack, but it's interesting to think.
Yeah, it feels like you're closer to your line than I am mine, because I can't find mine right now. Like, I don't know, because I want to do a lot of things and help a lot of people, but I don't want to lose my ability to have that line to get to them. And I don't know what it is. I can't really, I'm still searching for my line.
Well, so partly, and this is what I had to learn after losing Riv, is I don't get to decide what happens in my life. There's something else. There's something else I can't control it all. And so when I thought I had the wife and the 3 kids and everything was great, and then all that falls apart, that's a slap in the face that, wait a minute, you mean I don't have control over everything? And so to think that I need to plan because I need to have control over my giving and my philanthropy and my books, and I need to control that and the money that we have to live on, or do I live day to day and go, I'm going to give my heart today and trust that there's something else that's driving everything and not me.
In theory, that sounds awesome.
Well, if it is
to me,
you're right.
In theory,
and so to test the theory, we have to see how do we experience that in life. So your experience so far, what you've said is that when you do try to make a big splash and give, you feel like there's something else.
Something a little more personal, but I still want to reach a lot of people. And there's a threshold, but I don't know where it is. I can't find it right now.
What do you love to do as far as giving back?
It's very selfish. No. But my love to give back is very selfish.
Okay.
And in that, I only really understand stuff that's happened to me. So food insecurity.
Okay, sure.
But I don't, for the most part, see those people.
Right.
But I know what it was like for people that didn't see me. And when they gave us food, it changed my life. So I don't think I need to be there because they weren't always there for me.
What is the thing that you do to fulfill that desire for the needy?
That one would be a financial.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. So the challenge would be, let's go to Cambodia and go in a slum when instead of a lot of money, we have a meal. And we go to find a family that needs a meal. Maybe that's the disconnect you're talking about. Then maybe that's the gray area.
Maybe. I mean, like I've been to Haiti and done, and we built a freaking orphanage over there,
Okay.
But I wasn't an orphan, and it felt good to know I help people, but there wasn't a personal, like a super personal, like I know what that feels like. So therefore I feel selfish because I'm like, why can't I like help birds or something? Because I wish I just had something in me that was like, I just want to help something that's not, I think I'm just trying to fix young me. I think that's what, I'm working inside of a time machine and I'm trying to get to a younger version of me and be there in that way that people were there for me. A hospital, like we work a lot with St. Jude. I was in the hospital as a kid a bunch.
Okay.
Didn't have cancer, but without people helping, it just wouldn't, like that church being there and bringing meals and St. Jude is a natural thing to walk into here. However, it's been a different level with me and us because of my experience of being in the hospital as a kid and depending on others, which is what that hospital does. Now I do get to meet different patients, but again, that doesn't feel very personal, except I guess the personal thing is that's why I say it's selfish. I feel like I'm helping me, even though it's not really me.
What were you missing? What was the young version of you missing during those times that now you're trying to fill?
Generally, probably, stability, love. I just didn't know my dad. Mom was an addict, so I was just by myself.
Okay.
Mostly, not physically always, but it was definitely emotionally, it was very alone. We also didn't have money, so if it weren't for people like helping out, food, like I mentioned, like I needed that, school supplies, like that wouldn't have happened. So that's what I try to do, and a lot of times I just feel like I can fix it in a lot of ways with just make more money so I can help raise more money or give more money. But then there's this like a personal connection that's not quite there.
Do you go to Arkansas?
A lot.
Do you ever find kids where you go, that was me?
Oh yeah, and I help them as much as I can immediately.
Like with what?
Well, money. Here's just money. Here, take money.
How do you feel when you do that?
Like I need to do it more. Never good. But like it's still not enough.
Like it's not enough. Yeah. Interesting.
How do you feel after the coffee and you talk for 20 minutes? He talked for almost 4 hours, which is the purpose of it, right?
Yeah.
What does that feel? Do you feel like I just did enough, or that's inspired me to do more like this, to give up more Tuesdays where my calendar's packed for situations like this? How do you feel?
Over time, that's definitely changed, because coming right out of being an artist, it was like, I was hypersensitive to my schedule and very aware of the rat race and, making the big impact. And I think I learned those type of conversations, I was starting to leave them more and more saying, that was enough. I did what I needed to do today. And if I don't wake up in the morning, today was enough. I didn't just wake up and start thinking that. But I feel that more than I do when I go speak. In fact, it's crazy because I'll go speak at a youth conference and a bunch of kids everywhere, and I'll leave and go, was it enough? I don't know. There's a disconnection. There's a personal disconnection.
Did you? What's your parents' situation? Are they alive? Were they together?
Lost dad. They were together. Lost dad in 2014.
He older when he died?
He was 50 or 61.
So too young, but old enough for you to have a full life with him.
Yeah.
Were they loving and supportive to you?
Yes.
So you have that language that you learned. So we had a show last time. My voice is a little cracky. I don't really have that like the personal thing. I'm not good. I can do it on stage in front of thousands of people. Well, then, I don't think I could have this conversation if we didn't have mics in front of us. Which is weird. I don't think I would be vulnerable enough. But because this is a show, I'm not doing a show, but it is a show. So it's not real. So I would have trouble sitting with a guy for 4 hours going, I feel you. I understand you. Let me help you. Because I don't know. I couldn't communicate that. We do this, got it. And I think that's probably where a little bit of my disconnect comes. I'm not skilled at, I think it's been a learning part of my marriage is that communication. Like I say, I'm like 14, like a teenager. I'm not 10 anymore, which I was when we got married. I did not have the skills. Loved her, had no skills in being intimate. And I'm not talking about like sex. I'm talking about like two people.
Yeah.
And maybe my development here helps me there. And that's the hope.
Great. So how far have you come since you got married from then to now?
10 miles.
So that what you're saying is with experience, with practice, that personal connection gets easier and grows.
With practice, but also and with doing it wrong. Because that's where I learn.
Yeah.
That's where I learn anything, really. But it's like, I used to think every fight we got into, we're about to get divorced.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'd never been in a fight.
Yeah.
I was never with anybody. And now I've realized that the fights that we get into are actually like classes and like learning each other more. We tend to not get into that same exact fight again. Sometimes I have the, habit of biting my fingernails. That's not a fight, but she's like, stop biting your fingernails. But there are like fundamental ones that it's taken that really uncomfortable situation for me to learn and to get better at, and then to communicate the next time in a more effective way. And I think that's how I've traveled these miles. Now, professionally, I'm Methuselah.
Sure.
Like I've been through it all. Done bad contracts. I've accomplished things that I didn't think I would accomplish. I've not accomplished things. I've done So I have that. I've done a ton, and I'm very educated, and I can help people, and I feel good. I can sit for 3 hours to give people advice. But I think that's where I'm missing my line, but I feel okay about that I'm getting there because I'm actually getting better at it on a more micro level here than
that's the only way
I would
can
have
start.
it.
You know that a big difference between me now and me 10 years ago is one of the many reasons is I'll see a guy like in the parking lot and he'll go, "Hey, Granger." Yeah. And I'll see it on his face. I know something's going on. "Hey, man, can I talk to you just for a second? I'm really going through something. I lost this or that. And I don't know what to do. And you're the only guy that I like to listen to, the only guy I could hear." And this is the difference. I'll go, We'll talk for a little bit. I'll get a little bit of a read on him. I'll pull up my phone, pull up the context page and say, put your number in here. Let's talk. Man, that is so far from I would hold my number. I wouldn't give my number out. I'd be so worried about my personal space and like my time. And now I'm like, hey man, you call me. And it's really stepping off of a ledge for me to say that. But the more and more I do it, I get used to it. And surprisingly, for the most part, people respect that. If I give them my phone and say, write your contact in here, I'll text you. They're pretty respectful. I don't think I have anyone that has been disrespectful of that. But it has been interesting to build. I have a lot of people that kind of build these little relationships just from texting. It's interesting.
When you're writing, and I haven't looked at a single note. I haven't even.
Dude, don't even worry.
I haven't looked at a single note.
Don't even worry about it.
But my question is, because again, I feel like I can just talk to you about whatever, and I don't have to like tiptoe around a line, right?
Sure.
Otherwise, I want to be like, how about your money? Like, I really feel like I can just ask that because I think people wonder that. When you write, and not so much like Up Toward the Light, which we can get to, but when you write Like a River, it's extremely at times personal, and you have to re-feel things and sometimes discover things that you didn't feel the first time.
Yeah.
Or at least not fully, because it was so painful that you can't take it all in all at once. It's like a fire hose coming at you. When you write a book like a river, and you have to re-experience some of the things by writing about it or even thinking about if you're going to write about it or not. How difficult was that to kind of travel back through and try to communicate properly because you've had a little distance from it? It still sucks. But now you're not just feeling, you've got to feel it and communicate it, and yet still take yourself through it again so you can communicate it.
When I first was kind of putting together the outline for it, I realized early on this is going to be more than I thought, because the first chapter is we lose River. And then I've got a bunch more chapters, and it's all the aftermath. Really, the book is really the aftermath of losing him. And as I was doing the outline, and this is this chapter, then I'll say this, I'll say this, I'll say this, and I completed it, and I knew there was a piece I was intentionally missing because I just didn't want to go there. And it was the time when I was, almost killed myself, suicide. But the story wasn't complete without it. So at some level, I was like, my wife didn't know about it. No one knew about it. I was like, it needs to be a chapter, because this part doesn't make sense down here without the connector, and the connector was the dark night that I had. And so going there was something. And then not only going there, but then I called Amber and I told her, I got to tell you, I literally waited till the book proposal was done, and they're going to pitch it to publishers. And the book proposal had a chapter summaries. And as it was going out, I was like, I better call Amber and tell her. That's how long I waited. And she cried, and then she said, well, you better call your mom. Mom didn't know. And then mom said, you better call your brothers. No one knew about this. So it was not only writing it and thinking through it as I was writing it, but then telling the world about the most embarrassing, most vulnerable moment in my life when I almost killed myself.
So if people were to read the book and you didn't put that in, they wouldn't have known it wasn't in. They still would have felt, this is an impactful book. This has taught me a lesson. They wouldn't have known that it was not in. Yet you put it in because to you, did it not feel like you were being, or you were giving the honest version of your thoughts, feelings, emotions about what happened?
Correct. That was the hinge. That was the pivot moment in my trying to fix myself, and then that was the pivot into surrender. I can't fix myself.
Was it dealing with addiction? Was it a mental, emotional, like the bottom for you? Was that the bottom that made you go, if I don't go up from here, it's going to be over? I mean, that was it.
If I don't know how to better define a bottom, but that's as bottom as I've ever been. Yeah.
Why did you choose not to commit suicide? Like what was in your head that says, okay, I need to fight this? It's more than an urge. It is. It's, urge is not the correct word for it. But why did you not do it?
Yeah, I want to tell you without sounding weird, because it kind of gets a little weird, but I'll just describe it the best I can. When I reached, this was in Boise, Idaho. We were playing back-to-back shows, December of 2019. And, when you play back-to-back shows, you don't travel in between. So you kill a lot of time. The bus isn't moving. I went with the band and had a few drinks, way too many. Was feeling normal again. Went back to the bus 6 months after losing River, feeling okay, like feeling like a human being again. Went to my back lounge and saw like all my self-help books, my little marijuana pen, all the little things that I had done to create a world to make me feel normal, instantly recognizing things aren't normal. Then I realized, well, this is probably the first time I've been drunk since I've been in therapy. I've put all these barriers in place to try to protect me from my slideshow, which is this PTSD idea of I would just see River in the pool floating face down. I would pick him up. His face is purple. His eyes are open, just looking in all directions. His hair's messed up. His limbs are dangling like a rag doll. I'm doing CPR, wondering if I should press harder on his chest or if it might break his bones, and then thinking maybe that's the least of my worries right now. Like all these ideas. Then I see the doctor walk in. He tells me, no chance. I hear those ambulances screaming down that quiet road. I see my son Lincoln's hand on his brother's Lightning McQueen coffin, his best friend's funeral. All these things were just haunting me. Not just the grief of losing a child, but the shame and the guilt that I was there and failed. All of it was culminating that night in Boise. And I had the most vivid, what I called the slideshow, just panic attack. Crying, couldn't stop it, hit that weed pen as hard as I could. I was already way too intoxicated. And realizing there was no hope, grabbed the 9mm pistol that we had in the drawer, put it in my mouth. And this is when it gets weird. I realized that I thought a thought that my mind didn't generate. I knew it was a foreign thought. As if there was something else thinking for me or providing information to me. I think that's the best way I could describe it. In that moment, I realized I was not alone, basically. Something else was with me that night. And I heard in the thought was a voice that said, this is the way to rest. This is the way to peace. Just squeeze the trigger. And it was realizing that I was under attack. For the first time, it had never occurred to me. In my whole life as a cultural, nominal, religious person, it never occurred to me that there was an enemy, that I'd been stalked. And it just about killed me that night.
But to realize that there's an enemy at a time when you're realizing button isn't really working, that to separate, to be able to do and go, this is not me at a time. And again, it's a lot of irrational thoughts are happening.
Yeah.
And to have the one rational thought.
So the one rational thought caused the next thing to happen. And that's when I said, Jesus, please save me. Please, Jesus, save me. It was like a knee jerk. It's like pulling back on the old Sunday school knee jerk reaction. But when I said it, the slideshow stopped. It's actually stopped. Everything stopped. That weird pain, that the voice, there was just enough rest for me to drop the gun, to fall to the floor. And I just cried myself to sleep on the floor of the bus saying, please, Jesus, save me. Because what changed was I went from shame and guilt and panic attack to all of a sudden fear of an enemy that I didn't even know I was surrounded by.
The fact that you can have that rational thought in the midst of that storm of complete irrationality, to be able to not do it,
is the only reason I'm sitting in this chair right now. I would have been another statistic that you read on the show.
I don't really read a lot of those statistics. Those statistics don't make me happy, but yeah, to me that is just wild. That again, that is a time where you've obviously temporarily lost control, yet you still felt something still got, there's still a bit of control that got through that. Why it feels crazy is that usually in that situation, I think a lot of people don't have the opportunity to have or find the rational thought.
I don't give myself credit for that because I know the statistics.
No, I don't either.
I know the statistics, and I know it's rare. And I don't
and
take
that you
credit
can even recognize the difference in the two. That is so. I would be extremely grateful, and you are. And I think this is one of the ways that I think I could kind of. That shouldn't have happened. I don't know how you got a clear thought in your mind at a very non-clear thought time, and I do see. Almost, I can feel why that would change fundamentally.
Right.
Fundamentally, the reason you do what you do.
Right. You can't be the same person after a night like that.
Yeah, because I don't think you feel the same way because something new has reached you.
Yeah.
That has not reached you before. And again, I'm going to say this. I don't think you would ever wish that would happen to you.
No.
In a million years.
No.
However, and I'm not even, you can say I'm wrong. However, I bet there's a thankfulness to you that happened because of all the things that's been able to happen since then, which again feels like the opposite of what should happen. You shouldn't be, and you would never wish that on anybody to go through. But again, because that happened, you've been able to find fulfillment. It feels like general fulfillment in helping others. Am I somewhat right on that?
I died that night spiritually. I am not the same. That night marked a death for me. And you can't live the same when you're a new person in that sense, spiritually. You can't go back. And you can't even want it back. That's why I don't even want that life back.
I guess my point is, and I'll move off this because you're also really funny, and I haven't even got to be funny with you. Because you're like super funny. It's like you're like one of the funniest guys. In the same way we talked about River, and you said, if I could go back, what I've gained and what I've lost, you can't compare the two, but the person I am now, because that happened, I feel like you're now able to find fulfillment because that moment happened, that terrible night, that moment with that gun where you almost killed yourself. You are able to find fulfillment now because that is the trigger that kind of started it all, and you would never wish that anybody else. But without it, I don't know that you'd be here now. Do you think you'd be here now in the same way?
Oh, no, not even close. I'd be promoting a new single.
Right. So it's
no
just weird
way.
to say because it's not the same. It's like, are you thankful for that? It's not even the question, but without that, you wouldn't be here. But there's got to be an appreciation for what you've gained from it.
So after that night, though, that was the catalyst, but then I was on a new mission to find out what actually happened. Is there what mechanism actually happened in my mind, and why did I drop the gun? So that was a new mission.
And can you activate it again? And can you get back to it? And can you get back to it more? And can you use that to...
That became the new journey.
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe that's the new goal. That's what it would feel like to me.
And so through unpacking that, is then what I was able to take that and go out to other people and have these conversations.
You've lived the life of many. And it's really cool that you're taking that and helping. Because I don't know that I would do that. I'd probably just try to do this, build another house, you know?
That goes back to our conversation about being stubborn, because I too am very stubborn. And there's no way I could sit in your shoes and look at somebody in my shoes and go, I don't know if I could do it. Because the answer is you don't know if you can. But when it comes down to it, if you're broken enough, you will.
How's the radio stuff going?
I like it. I like it a lot.
Do you like it more or less than you did 3 months after you started when the honeymoon was finally over?
I like it more now.
Yeah.
With more understanding of what we're doing. Yeah.
What about that to you? I hate to keep using the same word, but what fulfills you about doing the radio show now?
So going kind of along the same lines as what we've been talking about, I'm speaking to people in the middle of the night, and it's really one-on-one. I get to talk to people, and I imagine a dude with his earbuds in, stocking the shelves, some grocery store, making a delivery for Amazon, and he's alone, and maybe having some of these thoughts, maybe on the verge of some of the things that I've been through. And then there I am speaking to him. And it's sporadic, it's a lot of music and in other conversations, but there are moments when I could actually have a normal conversation with someone, not in a robotic way, not in a, some kind of like, I'm just reading out of a cookie cutter. And you feel that with your show?
You wouldn't read out of a cookie cutter. They may, I think everybody knew this about you when you started. They may go, here's what we're going to do, this cookie cutter at the beginning so you can kind of get your bearings and under. You're not cookie cutter in anything you've ever done. I don't think, no one thought you were a cookie cutter. And I think people in this world are actually quite impressed with what you've been able to do with that. And also, I think what you're about to do even more inside of that world. Like, it's just like untapped in this area for what you want to do. It's crazy to see how, like, naturally, I don't want to say talented because it's a lot of hard work and you have grown in other areas, but like, you're real good. And good means you can do whatever you want. It's crazy to see how much you have understood what needs to be done, but then figured out ways to do it differently and still connect. Like, even some of the stuff that you're thinking about doing, I hear about, right? Like, they're like, and I'm like, that's such a freaking good idea. And it's inspiring to me, who's been, like, I'm 700 years old in this business.
Yeah.
So I hope you're enjoying it because you're really good at it and making a difference in a way that really no one has, and connecting in a way that no one has because you're just being you. And the only way we have to connect individually is by being ourselves because we're the only us there is.
Yeah. And I appreciate that encouragement. And I have to always remind myself, but if it's just today, today's enough. If I could keep that, and you have to fight for that. You have to dig for that kind of mentality of, I'm content today. If today is all I got, then that's enough. And there's all these great ideas. And like I said, we responsibly plan and prepare for great ideas and we dream about them. But if it was only today, would that be enough? And I have to say, yes.
That's crazy because I don't say that. I need like 50 more years, man. 100 more years. And then it won't be enough either, but hopefully in 100 years I'll find the enough. But I haven't yet.
So are you the kind of guy with, like, if you could figure out how to freeze yourself and then
for sure.
Restall?
Yeah,
yeah,
sure.
That's you.
Absolutely. Yeah. I have those thoughts all the time. We talked about the book before you got here, like in the promo, but I want you to tell me about Up Toward the Light. Give me your version of why you did it, the difference, because I've written a kid's book too, and I actually know the difference. For me, it was, there were words I used in my kid's book I didn't even really know that just text, it's telling a message differently. But you have kids. I didn't. I did it because I wrote a kid's book, donated all the money, but I did it because I wanted a kid to get a book with the message of it's okay to be different.
Yeah, yeah.
Why Up Towards Light? What was the message here in this book?
Well, it's a true story, not the kid version of it, but right. the adult version was what I went through therapy with. And I remember my therapist, this was way before the dark night in Boise, and it was part of the reason I lost my mind in Boise because I thought I had worked so hard in therapy. But he said at one point, the therapist, he said, what do you want to be for your family? Who do you see yourself? How do you see yourself in relation to your family? And I said, I want to be a rock. It's like, that's the reaction. I want to be a rock. That everyone could lean on me. And he said, and who does the rock lean on? I was like, yeah. And he goes, let me encourage you to think of yourself maybe as a tree. Because then you could bend, you have strength and you're strong and you have roots, but you could also lose limbs and lose leaves and you could be more flexible. And I was like, yeah, I like that. So he goes, my challenge to you, I want you to go outside. This is an on-site out here in Tennessee.
I went to on-site too.
Yeah. He said, go out in the woods and I want you to have a conversation with a tree and write it down and see what you learn. So I was like, it's kind of weird, but I went out in the woods and I probably sat for like 45 minutes before I knew anything. I found a tree, first of all, just like a normal average tree that I could relate to. And then I sat there with a pen and pad and eventually I was like, okay, hi tree, I'm Granger. It's like, hi Granger.
Probably felt pretty goofy at first.
Yeah.
I had to talk to a chair.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So you could relate to this. And so, but what I ended up realizing through that conversation with this tree was that we have a tendency to focus on everything that's providing nourishment down here. You know, roots, the soil. We can lose our leaves. We can shed our branches. That's great. But if we only focus on that, just the nourishment, the people surrounding us, everything we've built down here, we lose the ability to grow up toward the light, which is the only way to really grow. The only direction a tree grows is up. But if we only focus on what's below, people we've lost, people we've learned from, things that we've built, we totally lose that perspective.
When you said, what is a rock lean on? My unhealthy answer would have been, I'm a rock. I don't need to lean. I'm strong enough by myself.
True, right? Yeah, I feel you.
That would have been what I would have said. And then I wouldn't even need it for him to say it back. I would have just been like, that is not what the answer should be for a healthy version of me.
Yeah.
But that would have been my visceral, it was like, I'm a rock. Why do I need?
Yeah.
I don't need anything. I'm the one. I don't need anything. I don't have to. Yeah. That's why I go to therapy twice a week. Well, we go and then I go. Look, I'd be here all day. I'm proud for you. I'm not proud of you because I feel like you're much, to me, I look up to you in a lot of ways. I'm really proud for you that you've been able to, in this version, in this season, say the things you say, like I'm good, basically. That is inspiring to me.
Mm.
So I don't know, man. Just keep on doing that because listen. I watch what you're doing, watch what you're saying. Like even professionally, we work together in a way, and it's really cool to see what you're doing there in that world, and you're able to do it from home and it's awesome. So continued success. I don't need to say that because you're just going to have it, and you're going to be stubborn about having it wherever it is, and that success is your fulfillment, and that's awesome. The books, we'll put in the notes too, and I appreciate you just sitting and talking with me. I didn't really plan for it to go like this, but that's what's great about talking with somebody that you trust.
Yeah.
Is it can just go wherever. So
yeah, that's cool.
I think that's it. Granger, appreciate you, buddy.
Thanks, man.